Okay, let's talk about arithmetic series. We've already done an arithmetic sequence, and now we're going to be talking about a series. So a series is a sequence that we add together. So specifically, an arithmetic series is an arithmetic sequence that we're going to go ahead and add together. In class, I gave you a formula to use with arithmetic series. On the next page, when we start the homework, I'll have that formula off to the side. So this is from your homework, the arithmetic series worksheet. I'm going to start with number 1. It says evaluate the related series of each sequence. So here it says, I want to find the sum of the first 20 terms of this series. And it starts off the series for me, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then it goes on. So there's a couple things I need to do in order to evaluate this sum. I need to figure out what my n is, what my first term is, and what my last term is. So I'm going to go ahead and write down what information I do have. So I'm going to say, okay, I need to know my n. Well, the n here, they're telling me is 20. I want to add the first 20 terms up. I need to know my first term, and my first term is 4. And then I need to know the last term that I'm adding up, which is going to be the 20th term. And I don't know that. So I'm going to have to figure out what the 20th term is in order to add up this sum. So I'm going to use the equation that I used previously to find out the nth term of a arithmetic sequence. So that was a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d, which is my difference. So I can fill in some of these things. A sub n I don't know. That's what we're looking for. My first term is 4. My n is 20. I know that. And let's take a look at the difference. So the difference would be the number that I'm adding by every time. Here I get add 2, here I'm adding 2, and here I'm adding 2. Okay, so it looks like my difference is 2. Then I would calculate this. 20 minus 1, that's 19. 19 times 2 is 38, which means my a sub n is 42. Okay, so a sub 20 then is 42. That's what I'm solved for. So now I can go ahead and use this formula here to find the sum. I want to find the sum of the first 20 terms. So I take 20, which is my n, and I divide it by 2. And I multiply that by the sum of my first term and my last term. Well, if I simplify things here, this is really 10 times 46, which means the sum of the first 20 terms is 460. Okay, let's take a look at the next problem. This one says, give the sum of each arithmetic series. So here, they give me a series, and it looks like they give me the first couple terms and the last term. So let's figure out what I need to know and what I do know. I know my first term, a sub 1, that's 9. And here, I don't know my n, but I do know my last term, my a sub n, which is going to be 24. So I really need to figure out what n is. I'm going to use that same formula that I used on the previous page, which is a sub n equals a sub 1, or my first term, plus n minus 1 times d, my difference. And if I plug things in here, I should be able to figure out what my n is. So I know my a sub n is 24. I know my first term is 9. I do not know my n, but then I should also be able to figure out my difference. So I should figure out, okay, from here to here, what number do I add? 3. And from here to here, I add 3. So my difference is 3. Now I can solve for n. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that 3 in. I'm going to get 9 plus 3n minus 3. I'm going to combine my like terms. So I will get 24 equals 3n plus 6. Subtract 6 from each side, and I'll get 18 equals 3n. And if I divide by 3, then I find n is equal to 6. So I know that my n is 6. Now I have all 3 terms or variable values that I need in order to calculate the sum. So now I'm just going to plug this in. The sum of the first 6 terms is equal to 6 divided by 2 times the sum of the first term plus the last term, 9 plus 24. That gives me 3 times 33, and 3 times 33 gives me 99. So the sum of the first 6 terms of this series is 99. Last problem. Evaluate each arithmetic series described, now using sigma notation. So as in always, I'm going to figure out, what do I know? Do I know my first term? Well, just by looking, I can't figure out what my first term is. Do I know my n? I can figure out the n by looking. The n will be the number on the top of the sigma. That tells me how many terms are being added together in that series. And then the last thing, do I know my a sub n? Well, I don't. The nice thing about sigma notation, though, is they're giving me the rules. So I can easily figure out the first term and the last term. The first term, I can figure out by plugging in 1 in for my variable. So 4 times 1 plus 3 is 7. The last term, I can figure out by plugging in 14 for my variable. 4 times 14, well, 4 times 10, that's 40, plus 16 is 56, and then add 3 gives me 59. Now I have all 3 variable values that I need to calculate the sum. So the sum of the first 14 terms is 14 divided by 2 times 7 plus 59. So that gives me 7 times, 7 plus 59 is 68. 66. And 7 times 66 is 462. So the sum of the first 14 terms is 462. If you have any questions, please see me or Mr. Daniels, and have a fabulous time doing your worksheet.